Welcome back to the video. As usual, I don't know what I'm doing. Today I'm drawing a picture of one of my Android OCs, K80, spelled K80. Thanks to Extra Isthmus on Instagram for the suggestion of that name. Go check them out. They have an amazing story they're writing. Please. Alright. Man, I am on it today. Alrighty, so this picture I did with, just pen and alcohol markers, a lot like the last video. So I guess I'll just let the storyteller out and tell you what I know and what I just made up about K80. K80 is an android, as I said before, and he's heckin' cool! He was created by the government. Don't ask me which one, I don't know. He was built to be as realistic as possible, so he eats and breathes and needs water and sleep like you do. When was the last time you had water, heathen? Go drink some water right now. Ahem. As I was saying, K80 was built to even think like a human, and I'm pretty sure he ended up with a soul. In this world, the government is hiding the fact that they are putting people's souls into androids. So androids are basically people. But I didn't want the story to be a parody on rights or anything. I wanted it to be about K80 being caught in between several different factions who desperately want him for his skills, and he is not equipped to handle it because he's only been in commission for a few years, and he is the equivalent of a very, 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 very smart child who needs someone to help him learn how to have an emotional support system. Because that's hard, and he's confused and very lost. K80 was created to be a bit of an ambassador for his government. Well, not quite an ambassador. He would go out with ambassadors and his jerky handler and stand around during their meetings, acting a bit like a mobile computer for the ambassador while doing his actual job, people watching. He knows a lot about how people move, and he can hear the nuances in their voices. He can tell when someone's lying or when someone feels that they're in danger. He basically reads the emotions of the other country's leaders or ambassadors or whatever, and can even piece together clues from, even just the room he's standing in to come up with what that country might be planning, whether it be good or whether it be bad. This means he's very important, of course. His government actually tries to erase certain information, confidential information, every time that he comes home from a mission, but he doesn't even realize it because he subconsciously figured out how to block the mind wipe from happening. So he has a lot of confidential information, and the government doesn't even know about that. Ha! Take that, Gov! So K80 has a really cool feature, besides being the human lie detector and everything. He has this personal network that he can send his being along so he can enter another little robot body he created when he was bored once. You can actually see that little body tucked under his arm, and you'll see him better when I actually get to outlining that picture. Anyways, I doodle K80's little round form all over the place. There are sticky notes all over my house with his little face doodled on it. He's so cute, oh my gosh. He floats in the air. He can float around in the air with that one, but K80 can't stay in it for too long. His other body needs to be fed and taken care of, so he can really only do it if he's letting his body take a nap, but he does not want to sleep. So he'll zip into the other little round one and just go for a joyride while his body's resting. The little body is harder for him though, because it doesn't have the full function of his human one. He can't feel things, he can't feel textures or anything. It's harder for him to maneuver, and he even has a hard time thinking clearly in that body, but he still loves it, and he leaves his human form somewhere safe while he goes zipping around in the air and generally having a good time. It also comes in handy for spying on people because it looks a lot like the other small hovering cleaner droids that everyone has. So, Stealth 100. So the story kind of starts when he's out with his handler, probably going on a mission, and the two get cornered by a small faction that want K80 for the info he has and whatnot, so that faction can take over the government or something. K80 tried to run, but got captured pretty easily because he's kind of small and very scrawny. So he was brought back to the faction's den where he was bound and kept in a small room, getting hungrier and hungrier, and on the verge of a nervous breakdown, as one can imagine. The woman who actually ended up grabbing him as he was trying to run away earlier shows up in his room with some bread and an apple. She's not entirely happy about the whole situation either. This woman is named Lara, and she is a very imposing, dark-skinned lady with muscles that plenty of men could envy. She had been told that whoever caught K80 as he was trying to run away would get a reward and extra pay and fun stuff, and she did. But K80 was also now her responsibility, and she had to feed him and take care of him. So she walks into the room K80 is being kept in, probably fuming about her commander, and she just sees this scrawny android laying in the corner, doing his best to keep from having a mental breakdown. I feel that I should also mention, this faction had captured his other body and blocked his network, so it wasn't like he could switch bodies and find a way out that way. So, Lara takes pity on this poor boy and kind of soothes him in her harsh kind of way and makes sure he actually eats and everything. He ends up asking what happened to his handler, and Lara tells him that the handler died when they tried to capture him. And K80 is extremely upset, but a lot less upset if he had known the truth being that the handler actually sold K80 to the group. The handler was K80's only friend, which really sucked, because he was a manipulative piece of garbage. So Lara and K80 obviously become friends, because I'm a sucker for older, bigger person protecting small, scrawny person in an adopted sibling or child relationship. Now, in story, both the faction and government are bad in their own ways, and Lara isn't always around to make sure K80 stays safe, so after a couple of close calls, she and K80 run away from the faction, probably with some other people who were tired of it, and then I'm not really sure where the plot goes after that. I was kind of toying with the idea that they end up creating another faction, or maybe they live in hiding at a farm and get into shenanigans to keep hidden or something. Maybe they end up in a different country and rise to seats of power because they're the main characters, you know? And K80 keeps getting into dumb stuff, and Laura's just telling him over and over, please stop almost getting killed, I couldn't handle it if you died. I think K80 tends to get into a lot of things because he's just really curious and wants to see all the things. He's pretty cheerful and happy, except for when he's scared, then he can barely breathe or think. He's mostly having a good time though. Laura secretly likes having him around and having someone to protect. She wasn't really sure what she was doing with her life, and having K80 around gave her a sense of self-worth. Oh my gosh. I swear, English is my first language, I promise. That's really all I have to say for the sort of story I have in my head. I think I ended up making K80 because I found an old comic I made about an awful empire and one robot that wasn't like the others, and he decided to protect the main character, female, and they ended up in a fantasy world with some crazy magic or something like that. I don't remember it too well. I was young when I wrote it. I don't know. I didn't really like the story or the lead female, so I just redrew K80, who had a different name at the time, for a sketchbook challenge. But then I loved him so much that I created a totally different world for him and everything, and now he's the one being protected, and it's really cute. As for a commentary on how I drew the picture or how I think it turned out or whatever, I think it's really good. I probably could have spent a little more time on choosing colors. I'm not very good at color concepts, I guess. I don't know. I never figured that out. I'm an artist, but I don't have a very good sense of color, that's for certain. I think that I love that tuft in his hair, the yellow tuft there in the front. It's definitely, I know I've seen it in anime somewhere. I don't remember where, and I don't remember why I created it, but it's very funny, and I love it so much. As for the alcohol markers, I have so much fun using alcohol markers. They are like the nicest drawing things that I have ever used in my entire life. Like, you can't get this kind of thing happening with colored pencils. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't work. But like with alcohol markers, you can get it to like blend and stuff. And you can layer them. That's been a party. Layering them, that saved my life, honestly. I've been having a lot of fun, I have to admit, using these alcohol markers. And making a mess with them. It's been a lot of fun. I do like how it turned out. Like I said, could have spent more time on the color theory. The foot is a little bit wonky, but the feet I draw always are, honestly. Anyways, but in the end, I think it turned out pretty good. That's definitely K80. I'm not sure about that shirt though. But I really like doing the little lines, on his joints, like they're at his elbow and his neck and his knuckles, and they're on his face. Those lines are always so much fun. And I sat there for a good second debating his tongue, because I was like, he's built to be really human, but man, I just want to color his tongue blue. And so I did, because no one is here to stop me, and I cannot be stopped. Also, a wonderful trick I learned with white gel pens. The one I have is the Jelly Roll brand. I was having a lot of troubles with them when I was watching Drawing with Waffles one day. And she was talking about the Jelly Roll pens. If you take the pen and if you tap it every time, right before you use it, if you just tap it against your finger, then it flows a lot better than it would have, and it's really neat. Definitely a trick I want to pass on to anyone who has a Jelly Roll, because I found that it doesn't really work if you don't tap it every once in a while. Anyways, yep. Once again, just really proud of this. The motion, the pose, this pose is honestly the nicest pose I've been able to draw in a while. Poses are hard. Anyways, thank you for watching. Please leave a comment if you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a wonderful day.